Lesson 4.1, Writing Equations in Slope-Intercept Form. All right, so we're going to move through this lesson pretty quickly because you should have studied this last year in 8th grade or whenever you had 8th grade math. So slope-intercept form, just a reminder, y equals mx plus b, where m represents your slope and b represents your y-intercept. All right, so here's your standards. And what you need to know by the end of this lesson, you need to be able to find the slope and the y-intercept of a line. You need to be able to use the slope and the y-intercept to write an equation of a line. And you need to be able to write equations in slope-intercept form to solve real-life problems. All right, so your vocabulary, linear model. A linear model is a linear function that models a real-life situation. When a quantity y changes at a constant rate with respect to a quantity x, you can use the equation y equals mx plus b to model the relationship. All right, so let's look at some examples. Example 1, using slopes and y-intercepts to write equations. All right, so this question says write an equation of each line with the given slope and y-intercept. A gives you a slope of -3, a y-intercept of 1/2. So again, your equation y equals mx plus b. So all we have to do is replace the slope, m, with -3. So we're going to have -3x plus 1/2. So the y-intercept, b, goes at the end. The slope goes next to the x. All right, B part, slope is 0, y-intercept is -2. So you can write that as 0x minus 2, or you can just write it as y equals -2. If you write y equals 0x minus 2, that's just using the slope-intercept formula, but you don't have to have the x here when your slope is 0. So this is the best option. This would still work. The second one would still work. All right, example 2, using graphs to write equations. Write an equation of each line in slope-intercept form. All right, study tip. You can use any 2 points of a line to find the slope. So remember how to find the slope. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So the first thing we're going to have to do for A part, well, and B part, is to find the slope. All right, another study tip. After writing an equation, check that the given points are solutions to the equation. All right, so always check your answers when you're finished. All right, so remember your points are x and y values. All right, so this is x and this is y. And either point can be your first point or second point. It doesn't matter which one you start with. So let's do y minus y. So I'm going to do 3 minus -3. And then I've got x. My x is 4 minus 0. All right, so 3 minus -3 would be 3 plus 3, or 6 over 4. 4 minus 0 is just 4. And then that reduces to 3 over 2. All right, so my slope is 3 over 2. That looks like a negative, but it's not. Let's see, that's just a 2 there. Let me see if I can write that a little better. Let's write it underneath here. 3 over 2. All right, so now I have a slope and I have a y-intercept. If you look, you come down here, the second point here, that is your y-intercept. So it crosses the y at -3. So m equals 3/2, b equals -3. Now we just use this equation, y equals mx plus b, substitute m and b, and we have our equation. So y equals 3/2 x minus 3. All right, B part is going to be very similar. First, we need to find the slope. So we're going to do y minus y over x minus x. So it doesn't matter which y you start with. I started with the 2, and then I subtracted minus 1. But whichever y you start with, then you have to do the same order for your x's. So I go 0, minus 4, since I started with the point at the top. All right, so 2 minus negative 1, again, that's the same as 2 plus 1, or 3. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. Now I have a slope of negative 3/4. And let's see what our y-intercept is. If you look at the y-axis and you go up through here, you can see there is a point at 2. So our y-intercept is 2. Y equals negative 3 over 4x plus 2. All right, so it says to check your answers by plugging in the points. So if we want to check our answers, all you have to do is take the x and plug it in, and then see if you get 3 for y. So very quickly, I'm going to do this real quick on the calculator just to show you how simple it is to check it, but also how important it is to check it. So I've got 3/2 times, all right, so what is my x? For the first point, my x is 4, and then minus 3. And if this is a point on the line, when I hit enter, I should get 3 because our y value is 3. So y is 3. So that point is a solution. Let's go ahead and check the second point as well. So 3/2. And for x, we're plugging in 0. And then I am going to subtract 3 again. Hit enter, I should get negative 3. Right here, negative 3, our y value is negative 3. So A part is correct. Both points fall on the line. All right, let's check B part. Negative 3/4 times. Our first x value is 0. And then plus 2. And that should equal 2. And it does. So we plug in x, we solve for y. That's what we're doing. We're plugging in x to solve for y here. All right, let's check the last point, negative 3/4. And your x is 4. And then plus 2. And you should get negative 1, and we do. All right, so you can do this very quickly without a calculator, but I know a lot of you guys do not like fractions. So this shows you how easy it is to check it using your calculator to make sure that you created the correct line. All right, so both of these are correct, and we're going to move on to the next example. Example 3. Using points to write equations. Write an equation of the line that passes through each pair of points. All right, again, we're going to do the same thing, find the slope. I know I'm going a little bit fast through this lesson, but again, this should be review from last year's math class. So we've got an x and a y, another x and a y. So we're going to do y minus y over x minus x. So first thing we have to do is find the slope. So 5 minus negative 1 is 5 plus 1, or 6. 6 over negative 3. Negative 3 minus 0 is just negative 3. 6 is larger than 3, so we know 6 divided by 3 is 2. So 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. So that is my slope for part A. And now we need a y-intercept. If we look at our 2 points, we have 0, negative 1. We know that this goes left or right, and this goes up or down if we're looking at a graph. This does not move left or right, but it goes up, down negative 1. So this point, anytime x is 0, that's your y-intercept. So B equals negative 1. So y equals negative 2x minus 1. Again, you can take your points. You can plug those points in to make sure those fall on your line. All right, B part. We've got xy and we've got an xy. So we're going to first find our slope, negative 5.8 minus negative 5.8 over 0 minus 8. Negative 5.8 minus a negative 5.8 is negative 5.8 plus 5.8, which is just 0. 0 over negative 8. 0 divided by anything is 0. So we have a slope of 0 and a y-intercept. If we go up here, remember this goes left or right, this goes up or down. So our x is 0, that means it goes down 5.8, so negative 5.8 is the y-intercept. So y equals 0x minus 5.8. And again, this is the best way to write it, but if you write 0x minus 5.8, that is also acceptable. That would also be correct. Just when this is 0, you don't even have to write it. All right, again, take your 2 points, plug those in and check it. Make sure you got the right equation. And let's do that quickly right now. So A part, take the x, negative 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Sorry, negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. 6 minus 1 is 5. So that is, the first point is correct. Take your 0. 0 times anything is 0. Minus 1 equals negative 1. So those both check out. All right, take the x here. 0 times anything is going to be 0, so that doesn't even matter. So negative 5.8, that one is correct. That one is actually part of the equation. And then if we take the 8 times 0, anything times 0 is 0, negative 5.8. So again, that one checks out very quickly as well. So both of these equations are correct. And we plugged in the 2 points to check and make sure those 2 points fall on that line, and they did.